Hello and welcome to Chapter 134 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Clay. Clay, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. I have two interviews set tomorrow. Video interviews, so it's like, oh, I don't even have to like leave the comfort of my own home. I do have to like, of course, clean up a little bit. I'm gonna be on camera. But looking forward to that. And it looks like we are what did my baby app say? It said, let's see here. Uh it's soon. It's
Yeah,
soon.
it's
I got a notification today that I think said, "Oh, you're 27 days away from your due date." And I was like, "Oh, it no longer says weeks. It
no,
says days." So we're getting closer and closer. I was just saying this on I believe it was uh oh shoot, not Ranger Alliance. Maybe it was Ranger Alliance last time with Jake. But I also went and spoke on, this is a shameless plug over at the GUA Walk Through the Multiverse. Me and
where you
Joe are
talked about
talking.
paper girls.
Yes. We talked about Paper Girls. That's going to be a future episode. And I mentioned to him that I'm going to have one more episode on Ranger Alliance. I have three more episodes on Star Wars Alliance and DC Alliance. And then I get to say goodbye for an entire month. And I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, man.
You're gonna be wandering in the chat all the time, be like, "What is this? This is how people live." Yeah, uh, pretty crazy, Clay. Like when you think about that, like that's gonna smack you right in the face super quickly. But I
I
cross my
think so.
fingers for you for your interviews. I want to take a little second to listeners to apologize if you heard any weaning or panting last week's episode from my dog. Uh, I'm just gonna do a quick story time because I'll just wrap this up super quickly. Chris Balga says, "I think you'll figure it out, Clay. Take care of the new bundle of joy." Yeah, the podcast go to a backseat. Chris is right there to the newborn. But essentially, last episode, while we were recording, my dog was going crazy, weaning a lot. My girlfriend was asleep, so she didn't hear him, and I could hear him a lot. But earlier on the walk, I thought I saw him eat something off the ground that I wasn't sure. I tried to stop him, but he's a pretty big dog, and once he did it, it was done. So the next Tuesday morning when I woke up, there was 3 spots that I had to clean up. It was not vomit. I'll just leave it at that. So that was fun. He was very miserable on Tuesday. Had to make chicken and rice for him, but essentially turned it around, back to normal now, and he's upstairs sleeping, not weaning or anything. So, yeah. Moral story: don't eat anything off the ground that you don't know. Like I don't know how many times I have to tell him that. I know it's just a dog, and that's what dogs do. But
Dude,
could not be more frustrating.
Flynn has gotten on this kick because around our house we have small little rocks that are literally smaller than about a penny. And for some reason, he just feels like, oh, that must be food. And he attempts to eat rocks. And I have to literally pry his mouth open and like just try to grab rocks out of his mouth. Dogs, I love them, but sometimes they're just stupid.
They're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb.
Yes.
They're awesome. They're so loyal and super. Like I don't trust cats. I'm sorry. You can be. There are really cool cats. I've seen them. I had a bad
All
experience
cats are
growing up
evil.
with cats, but yeah, I gotta agree there, Clay. They're fun, lovable, but God are they dumb. And yeah, it was super frustrating to go through that. Essentially, my last day before school started was watching him and taking care of him the entire time. Uh, so
Nice.
but he's okay now. Everything's fine. Back in school. Yeah. So, moral of the story: I apologize, listeners, and like I said, don't let your dog just eat anything he wants. That's the name of the game. So we have a lot to talk about today. We have some news. We have a new trailer and a new episode of a show to talk about. But before we do all that, of course, have to get the network plugs out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 8 shows in total. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest host of Jake and Joe. That's where they got you covered on everything on the Power Ranger side, the movies, TV shows, the comics, and everything in between. So check those guys out for that. That rotates bi-weekly with Slice of Film with Katie and guest host Mark and Sarah, where they look at new movies, old movies, and everything else encapsulating that. They're looking at House of Dragon right now and Slice of Film. I know that went up today. Today? Yeah, today.
Yes, today, and
Yes.
so did the Disney Plus Pinocchio
Nice,
also went out.
nice. Yes, yes. And there was a special live stream with Star Wars Alliance and DC Alliance, Star Wars Alliance, Marvel Alliance, and the Geekverse guys talking about the D23. I watched that. You were on that, Clay. That looked like quite a fun time.
Yeah, I was really hoping for a certain actor to be showing up on D23 stage. Didn't happen. Didn't get to
No.
see the Twitterverse explode, but one day
Bullshit
I
goes
will.
both ways. Bullshit goes both ways, apparently. Apparently. Yeah. I was hoping though, I'd like for him to be in both, to be honest with you. Call me when you get Doctor Doom, because I think that'd be perfect. But yeah, check check Slice of Film out for that. Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. Chaos at DC lately, but we've been riding the wave, and it's been enjoyable for me anyway. Fun, I'll say fun. There's a lot of funny moments in between these discussions. On Wednesdays is Superhero Discussions, my show that focuses on the animated side of things. We are still doing 2 episodes a week. Harley Quinn wraps up this weekend, so that'll be the last episode for that. Patrons, look in the feed already. Posted, I want to say 9 p.m. We'll go 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. On Monday was the superhero discussions review for Rick and Morty season 6 episode 2. Joe joined me for that, and we talked about a fantastic Rick and Morty episode that was basically a giant homage to Die Hard, followed by a philosophical debate about being stuck in the Matrix or not, and is it better or not. So went both ways in that episode. Fantastic. So check that out, please. That drops Wednesdays, but patrons, you get a look at that early now. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Katie and Clay. They cover on the Star Wars side of things. Andor comes out in 9 days, Clay? 9 days, the 21st?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, coming and 3 episodes drops the first time I thought I saw.
Yes, it does. I think I may actually be crazy enough to watch all 3 at midnight. So
I'm not even shocked one bit, Clay, at all about that. You're the kind of person, you definitely watch Snyder Cut starting at 12 and just watch the whole thing.
I
Like,
did. I watched it, did a review with Greg, then stayed up the rest of the day because I had to work, and then did our review on DC Alliance.
Yeah.
And then didn't go back to sleep until I think 2 a.m. the next morning. Yeah.
You're master. You're master. I don't know how you do that stuff. But check those guys out. Check Katie and Clay out for the breakdowns. They're going to cover all Andor's goodness, and I can't wait to listen to those. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. They covered on the Marvel side of things. Obviously, there was a lot of news from D23. A couple really great trailers. I'm super excited for Secret Invasion. And we have them going through the She-Hulk episodes. I've been loving that show. And I think a certain horn costume character is going to show up in the episode on Thursday. Is just my belief. Have no other knowledge.
I think he's going to be showing up Thursday and then the following weeks.
Ooh, you tell me the rest? Ooh.
I have a very strong feeling it's more than just the usual 2 episodes, because every character that has been showing up on She-Hulk has had 2 episodes that they show up in. And I really feel like Cox is going to be showing up more than once. So
I won't even touch that phrasing, but just check those guys out over on Marvel Alliance for great breakdowns there. They cover everything. There's a show to go if you're a fan of Marvel. On Saturdays, bi-weekly, as they walk through the multiverse, but that's where Joe looks at everything that isn't DC, Star Wars, and Marvel. And Joe's newest episode that's going to be coming out, it looks at Paper Girls, and unfortunately, that was canceled. I think after he finished recording, or while he was getting ready to record.
It was before the recording.
Yeah, just before, but he already had it planned.
We spoke about it. Yeah, we spoke about it literally the day before it got announced. And then we're like, hey, maybe we should move this up on the timeline on when we should talk about this. Which I will go ahead, small little spoiler of that conversation. Me and Abby are actually really bummed about this because we really loved the series, but it is going to be shopped around. That's something that we are going to be discussing on the episode. So make sure to go check that out.
Yeah, normally they'll say shows are canceled, but they didn't quite say that here. They just said like it's going to be shopped around for other networks that were passed on for the rest of it. So it was. I like that. That's a more positive spin on things, and perhaps another streaming service will take the jump on that. Fingers crossed for that, Clay. But check Joe out for everything that isn't DC, Star Wars, and Marvel. And on Sundays, monthly is World's Finest True Believers with Chris Balga. That's where Chris and a guest take a look at a comic of the guest's choice. This past episode, Chris was joined by Ryan Lauer from the Batman Book Club to look at Captain America White. It's a great episode. Check that out. But Chris also does comic creator spotlights. Clay has joined him for some of those where they talk to a comic artist and get their side of things, their origin story. It's great interviews. The most recent one Chris did was with Mike Grell, so check that out. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel. Normally at 9 p.m. Eastern time. This is on me, listeners. I have an early class in the morning, and I'm super tired. I have to get up super early to walk the dog before said class. So it's the only class of the day for me. But it sucks that it's at 8 a.m. I have to get up at like 6 to walk the dog. And you should have seen what I walked the dog through today. We had the remnants of a hurricane hit the past 2 days. And I had to climb over a tree and walk up to my knees in water. It was, I already 3/4 of the way committed through the trail when I ran upon this obstacle. So I was not going backwards. It was only forwards. And terrible walk.
Might as well have gone swimming, you know?
There you go. But we had to go a little earlier this week, listeners. So it's on me. Apologies if it screws up you guys coming to join us at the normal 9 p.m. Eastern time. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9-10 p.m. Eastern time. All three of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content only. But if you want all 8 shows, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, Clay, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, like the superhero discussions episode I mentioned. It's already up there for patrons. And Patreon exclusive episodes. Myself and Joe have already planned. We're going to get together next week to record Superman 2 discussion. I can't even call it a review. We go off into different tangents. Clay is doing his watching shows for the first time. Right now, he's watching Game of Thrones. So join Clay as he gets his heart broken over and over and over again with Game of Thrones, because that's just Game of Thrones style. The Marvel Alliance guys are doing their MCU rewatch. Check those guys out. I think they're recording a new episode sometime soon. Follow them on Twitter, and they will give you hints on what they are recording. Katie's also doing Star Wars comics with her husband. We have Joe's Multiverse Minutes and my top 5s. We thank everyone that's a patron, but if you can't be a patron, if you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, that would be greatly appreciated. And in mentioning that, we also have a survey that's pinned to the GUA Twitter account. Essentially, it will help us improve anything. You let us know what you like, what you don't like. And it's just a way for us to help serve the fans better. So just thank you so much for taking the time to fill that out. It's greatly appreciated. Clay, I think that's everything. Managed to remember the survey. I think we're good to go.
Yes, we are good to go. It be Kyle. Yo, what is up? I know that you were watching over there on the D23, so I remember you. What is up? But let's go ahead and move on to our first topic here today, which is the Warner Brothers fails to lock in DC's new superhero movie boss. Of course, this is DC Studios talking about Dan Lin.
Is he Dan the Man anymore now, or do we have to
Or
change his nickname?
Big Dan Lin.
Big Dan Lin.
He will always be remembered as Big Dan Lin
in your heart,
because he is bigger than WB. I'll tell you that. He has probably here's the honest truth. The honest truth is he went over there and he said, "Hey, I love this I love these projects. I love this franchise. I think I could do really good things with it. Here's my pitch for the first quote unquote phase." And Zaslav was like, "Oh, that sounds too good. You're not hired. We can't succeed.
We can't
that is not in our 10-year plan. So I'm sorry, you have to go." That is basically probably what happened.
Well, in all honesty, what they're saying happened was the Lego Movie and It producer was reported to be in talks for the said role under DC, but the outlet revealed that the two sides ended negotiations without reaching a deal. The two sides were reportedly in exchange term sheets, with Lynn wanting to keep the production company he founded, Rideback, operational with an equity stake owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. However, both parties decided to move on after Lynn decided to stay at Ryback. So
And
that
I
was
say if
the
that is
fallout.
if that is the main thing that kept him from being the head studio, good on him. Good on him. That is
I will
his
agree.
that is
You know
his
what?
baby, you know?
I agree because Clay, they bring people in all the time and work with their production companies all the time. Uh, JJ, Matt Reeves, they're working with Matt Reeves. They got an exclusive deal signed with him. That So it's
Yeah.
not like they can't do this stuff. And when you have somebody, the problem with that, if it doesn't work out, you're gonna have to pay out to get out of that, which is
Yeah.
always a thing. Like this is the thing that you had to run into eh, multiple times. So it has to be frustrating. It's frustrating for us fans. He was really, like you said, he was really passionate about this potential role, potential new job. But this also begs the questions of who put this out there to begin with. Was this him putting this out to the trades to because they reached an impasse about this? Uh, we could have heard this when they were in negotiations, right? And it broke down
True.
because of this. Like they could have been reaching an impasse, and then he decide, or well, his agent decide, let's put this out in the trades. Maybe we'll get a positive spin of this is a great guy to hire, and they'll move off this kind of absurd idea. But they've
It's
also done several absurd ideas, like I said, canceling Batgirl. Financially, you save some money, but it doesn't make up the PR hit, and that's the problem you get when you just operate financially solely on numbers alone. You got to use the numbers, but you can't be solely reliant on just the numbers.
and it's really hard to say because here's the thing that I have heard from every single individual that has talked about this specific deal, not necessarily with Dan Lin, but getting the head studio position. Everybody has said nobody wants it. That makes like the risk versus reward so extreme. And if that is the case, people who are in negotiations to actually get that job are probably asking for a lot of money
Well, they want a
because
golden parachute, Clay, which is not the wrong thing when you're coming into a more disastrous
a very
situation.
big shit show. Yeah,
Yeah, like if
exactly.
you don't turn it around, you don't want to be destroyed. You want to have something to fall back on. And I like I said, I can understand Dan walking away, but I also can understand WB being like, we got to get him with another uh, production company. And what happens if this doesn't work? Would they be on the hook for more money? I can see it. I don't know how it would like if you're so far down the line with negotiations, which why I'm a little hesitant on this article altogether. I think
Well,
that
I
there is
think
some
as far
shading
as with
because
the ride back thing, I think WB wanted it, but they wanted it for WB. Like instead of Dan Lin being the sole owner of it,
yeah.
they
Well, he
wanted
wanted
it.
to keep an equity stake, so he could have had 51%. They could have 49%. He just wanted a controlling stake in the
Exactly.
yeah. Which
So they were
that's
working on a
still yeah.
deal as far as like actually keeping him. So it wasn't like we don't need that production company because we have too many. No, they were actually working something out. But I think it's good on him to want control of something that he created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. And like I said, I don't. If this was the reason why he walked away, I don't blame him. It sucks because he was passionate about the role. But there's also, I don't know, with the two DeLuca and oh my god, who's the other person that they brought in? It wasn't
It's Abney and DeLuca
Abney and DeLuca.
is the two. But we had also heard 2 weeks ago that Emma Watts is still technically in the running with this. And I did not know this until Snell told us this in the GUA that she has only co-produced majority of her films and she's only fully produced one movie.
Yeah, that's why like I know we were told that DeLuca and the others didn't want to take control of this, but I could end up seeing them one of them doing that. I really could. It depends on how long they go because you could also get the spokesperson for the company type person who just goes with what the plan is. That they could already have somewhat of an idea what they're going to do and just do
But
that
see,
rather than bring the person in.
that's the big problem also. That's something that I felt like probably scared Dan Lin away also,
Well,
is
this
the
is all
fact that
purely speculative too.
probably purely
Yeah,
speculative,
just want
but
to
the
point that
fact
out, listeners. Don't take
that
us. Yeah,
possibly Zaslav and Horn have already created like more than half of the 10-year plan and said, "Hey, you have to go through this, but you can create the rest." Like,
yeah.
that's not cool whatsoever. Now,
No,
the problem is with Dan and Abney and DeLuca,
Luca. Yeah,
if they're kind of pushing the tape on, no, we don't want to do this, no, we don't want to do this, that is extending the amount of time they actually have to be able to work on this 10-year plan. You're just pushing that more and more out.
and also raising
Doing
your price up and up and up a little bit more.
and doing that is going to cause more space between what we are still kind of calling the DCEU or the ending of the DCEU, or there's still so much confusion as of what's happening after the Flash, right? So if you make that space even wider, you're just having to throw out movies and you're still in the same mess that you're constantly in
It's
currently.
basically running around in a circle, or just
Exactly.
what the kicking the can further down the road is what people have been saying, and
Yes.
that's the strategy they've been using since the Justice League in 2017. They
Yep.
haven't. They should have fully reboot, but they had some good movies in there. Didn't want to lose them for that, Clay. So it sucks. I would have loved to have seen him take control. We have it so we could have a face to the name, because I'm not like, and he has had some successful jobs producing. So it sucks, but onward to the next candidate, I guess. And it doesn't mean they can't come back around to Liam. We know now the terms, so they could come back to him after going further and not having any success. That's a very, very real possibility. That happens a lot
That
of
is true.
times in
Yeah.
job hunts like that. They could have an idea, we want this perfect candidate, and then be like, Dan sounded the most sensible and reasonable out of every person we interviewed. Let's go back to him again. Well, we can take we can take a stake of his. We don't have to take an equity stake of his production company. So who
True.
knows? But
Very, very true.
it may not be the end of Big Dan Lin. I had to get that in there.
But let's go ahead and go to the next topic,
Yeah.
Black Adam. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen
Yeah.
because everybody's been saying, oh, I'm getting Man of Steel vibes because of all the fighting. And people don't realize the very beginning, the first 2 seconds is Man of Steel trailer 2, exactly the way this is
Yep.
Black Adam trailer 2.
Oh, yeah. That was
and
another
I call
nod. Yeah.
complete bullshit because it's stupid.
Oh,
Now,
my God.
I'm sharing my screen here.
Closed caption.
Closed captions are on.
Yeah.
He is floating in the water. Look, that same scene.
Well, we
I'm
don't know
going
if that's
right
him.
here.
We don't know if that's him.
That is definitely him.
Oh, we don't know. That could be his son that
But
died too.
I just look, and boom, Man of Steel trailer 2, Black Adam trailer 2, the exact same scene. I felt
Awesome.
it's the exact same. It's so stupid.
Oh, it's wicked.
No.
What a nod. What a nod.
No.
So
no.
we see his destruction here, and this is a shot we've seen before as well.
Yes, a lot of the same footage, which I felt was kind of lame.
Slow it down here now. Slow it down here is where I want you to like slow it a little bit a couple times. Right here, we didn't get any. This is what I'm talking about for Man of Steel vibes right here. The way he's fighting these people, this is just out of Man of Steel, and I love that. I love the way it is. This is Fiora fighting the.
But we also saw
generals.
this before, not inside the cave, but outside of the cave as well.
But we didn't see the way, like you see the air move off him when he throws him, the way air moves off when he moves as well. It's just a little bit more, and
we get the X Mansion here. We get this Iron Man scene.
Oh my God! Hey, this is. I feel like pause this for a second. Pause. I feel like I'm in Dave Chappelle season 1, episode 12.
I'm just saying everything.
You're just like, hey, and there's a big crowd in the background going, hey.
I'm just saying everything that everybody else was saying on Twitter when this dropped.
People on Twitter are going to do that stuff. I really enjoyed this here. Slow this down because we have Hawkman talking to tease it Amanda
Amanda
Waller, and we
Waller.
got to pause it right here because we see a little bit of stuff in the right of this is clearly the JSA's headquarters and her affiliations. You see the United Nations, you see the Suicide Squad, or what I think is the part of the Suicide Squad there, and then you see Justice League up top. That's just
Now,
three known.
you said just now United Nations.
Yeah.
Now, there are some people that are speculating that it actually is not
Ooh.
United Nations. And instead, let me actually pick up where this was. I think it was actually Casey Walsh. Now, again, all speculatory, but he did say, wait a minute, could James Gunn's next project be the United Order?
Ooh.
Now, the United Order is a ragtag group of aliens that is basically, I wouldn't say a Suicide Squad. I wouldn't say it would be more along the lines of Thunderbolts in the sense of, yes, they are like criminal-esque. They are a little bit hardened. I wouldn't even call them criminals. They are a little bit hardened, and they're not as wacky as a Suicide Squad. Uh, it does have characters from Tamaranians to Thanagarians, Dominators to Daxamites, all sorts of different characters from the cosmic portions of the DC universe. And people saw United. Now you can be right. It could be United Nations. But it would be really cool Easter egg if when we are watching this movie, we actually see instead the United Order would be a really cool Easter egg right there.
And this lends a little bit of credence to the possibility of Amanda Waller speaking to a certain faceless hero at the end of this film as well. That was what was teased a long time ago.
That is what is teased, but then more so in the last few weeks, people are like, "Oh, maybe it's not a faceless cameo and everything else." I think if it's not a faceless cameo, it's his last cameo. That's how I feel about it.
I'll take any cameo at this point, but I love the look of this. But obviously, yes, you know what I'm going to say. But anytime a hero team has a giant ship, everyone's going to say X-Men, but we can clearly, this is a Thanagarian ship that they're going to be flying here.
I know it's a really nice Quinjet. Really, really nice Quinjet.
Well, I thought you were going to say the X-Wing for a second there, but
I mean, same difference basically. More scenes that we've already seen before.
Yes, but we didn't see that. There's a little bit more context to add it to this, but them trying
this
to
should not have been in the trailer because this CGI was a bit rough in this one scene.
But you'll say that, but you got to give compliment. Pause it for a second. The first trailer was a yellow filter. Let's not try and pretend that it wasn't. Let's give a little bit of compliment here of seeing people's reaction to that. And I don't know if they just did that for the trailer or not, but it doesn't look this color at all now. You can see, you can compare side to side with first trailer, and this looks like a much more like enjoyable to the eyes.
Yeah, I could say that.
I didn't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this if this is the first encounter between them, unless Hawkman has more of a fight after that. Like you can't put him down so many levels right away.
But that's the whole thing about The Rock. He needs to be the biggest dog.
I knew I was setting you up for that.
That is who The Rock is. You can't have him.
You don't know who The Rock is. That's the thing. We got to calm down for a second here with all these. This is what The Rock is. The Rock doesn't let people succeed.
Tell me a
Rock
movie.
Wants to be the...
Tell me a movie that he loses and actually sits with it.
Dude.
Nah.
Yeah, he literally turns into the bad guy and gets killed.
Yeah, but I bet you anything he wouldn't acknowledge that.
He's on talking about how terrible he's in front of like 40,000 people for the Hall of Fame for WWF or E, and says how terrible Doom is. He's like, I made Doom. It was so bad. I don't think The Rock is terrible. Stop for a second. Dr. Fate. Give me all the Dr. Fate I can get. I just love every second of it. I know I'm going to be like, first thing we're going to say when we get the review, wasn't enough Dr. Fate for me. I wanted more. That's what I'm going to say. I just love this.
Well,
The
you say
magic, the
that
way it's magic
Snell
look.
Snell thinks he's gonna die, so
Oh, very well could be a possibility, but also somebody else could pick up the mask. I love this. He said before, don't kneel in front of people, and he's kneeling there. Uh, yeah, we
now
get just more of this scene that we saw before as well, and
I
Adam
the
Smasher.
way this trailer has been shown though, I do think that a majority of this movie is going to be this fight that we are seeing right now. I think a majority of it will be
I don't
uh
know. I think they're too, well because of the fact that we're going to see the villain and for just a second here in a here in a second. I think that's going to be the majority of it. We just haven't seen it. I think that's going to be the majority of the fight.
oh no, I think that
Right
this is
here,
where
we get our
well,
villain
here's a
Sabat.
better hold on.
Oh, when we go back for a half a second and
I
look at that,
think
the nth metal changes from the mace to the gigantic ass.
oh, I can't get it.
Oh my god, that's amazing!
But this is the best look we're going to get for the villain. I genuinely think this is going to be very much in the same vein of uh, Godzilla versus Kong, where it's going to be them two fighting for the majority of the movie, and then the main villain comes in at the very end, and then they have to use teamwork to defeat the villain. I think that's what this movie is going to be.
I'm curious to see how he escapes because he just like he has to have escaped somewhere to just start this now. Like he can't be waiting. Is he tied to Black Adam in a way? I'm curious. I don't know anything about the villain. Which you know what I got to say is kind of refreshing, depending on how long he's going to be in the movie. If he has a significant piece of the movie, that's super refreshing to go that route in keeping it in the dark. I will say if you're just showing that little showdown with Jace, and that's all you've been showing, but you got like a full third act with this guy, I will give you props because not very often do they do that anymore when to build up the
Have we
movies
heard
is
a
hold it
rumored
back.
runtime for this movie?
No, I'm sure the runtime is locked in now.
Because I don't see there being a whole lot of other aspects to this movie. I kept saying also that I think the only other aspect that we're going to get from this is because you need the civilian look on life so that way you can show the humanity in Black Adam. Is there's
Yes,
this
yes, Joss.
mother
Yes, Joss.
there's this mother and son that we keep seeing throughout the trailer. And I think it's going to be one of those, oh, you remind me of my, what was it? His brother, his son. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, you're right. No, I don't think that guy reminds him of his son. I could be. I didn't even know if that's mother and son. That could be just two friends. That guy's looked old enough that I didn't know if that was her son, and she didn't look old
Oh,
enough for me
I
to.
think he looks pretty young. He looks like a
Okay,
teenager.
I'll need to get a. I need to do a little bit better of a look at that guy. But yeah, we get the little bit more action. Cyclone doing some cyclone things. Uh, yeah, and the Rock powering up. We
And
get
this giant explosion, like there are moments in here that look cool, but like I don't think there's going to be much story for me to be like, oh, this was amazing.
I thought this
I
trailer was the best one yet. And the views seem to reflect that considerably comparative to this SDCC minute and a half clip. This one already has like so many more million views than the
Yeah,
other
this has
ones. So
13. This is on WB's page and it has 13 million.
and the teaser after a week and a half had 5 million or so, and Shazam had 13 million. So I think this is easily the best trailer yet. We get a lot more. You don't give anything away in terms of the main villain. We get some more stuff with the JSA showdown with him. Clearly, it's they're pushed towards that because of Amanda Waller. So it's nice to see that her using another superhero team for her benefit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool because clearly nobody on the current Suicide Squad that we saw with James Gunn could match up against Black Adam. So I'm interested in that kind of stuff with Amanda Waller. I love the tie-ins there. Like I said, the Man of Steel stuff, give it to me every day of the week. I know Clay thought it was stupid, the first thing in the water.
Well, it's just
I won't
I'm
argue
sorry.
against you with that. I won't argue against you with that because
Dwayne
that
Dwayne wants to be Superman so bad,
no,
and
I won't
he
say it's in
can't be.
there. I don't know if like some of the rock takes are I can't support them, but I will say if that part you want to critique of just saying like it's a useless copy, that's fine. But the action stuff in the cave with that was top notch. That was something that made me happy because this has made claims of being similar to Man of Steel in the action, and I will turn on Man of Steel and it's just as good now. It was made in 2013 as anything we've gotten now in terms of CGI fights in the air. All that stuff works. Part of it works is because they're using shaky cams. It's not as top of the line CGI as we got now, but that's the adaptations that you make. Like that's the things you do to make it work. But it plays really well. And I saw this with and I just said, "Oh my god, the fight in the cave where he threw the guy. You saw the wind go with those are the effects I loved seeing. That's the kind of stuff that really was. I was yes, we'll get at least the action's going to look cool. I
Yeah,
know you're stuck with the
I
story, yes, but I was afraid with when they made the claim of Man of Steel / Dragon Ball esque action. I was nervous, but everything I've seen so far, I don't know about the story. I can't say the story's going to make sense because we don't know anything about the villain. And if you're right, if they do get bogged down with the JSA stuff, it I don't know what they could do depending on the runtime. So I'm a little nervous by that, but I know the action stuff will all look great. That's the first worry I had when you make those claims of you're going to be like Man of Steel and Dragon Ball.
well, yeah, and I was the same way, but with what I've been hearing, what I've been seeing, it looks like, oh, I can just wait until a 10-minute YouTube video comes up, shows me all the cool parts of Black Adam, and be like, okay, that's all I needed to see. We can move on now. Like, this isn't something that has shown me, oh, I need to see this movie from beginning to end.
And the backstory, maybe the backstory will allow you to connect with The Rock's character. Maybe it will allow you to connect with Black Adam. Probably not, as we call the surgeon to get the eyes, to get them to operate, to get the eyes to roll back down because they may be stuck up there with that eye roll. But that's the only way that they can get you in to this. Or your worry is a distinct possibility of it being just an action flick that only has 10 to 15 minutes of really good moments that you can watch on YouTube and very little character development. That is a
Yeah.
worry that because I've watched several of the Rock's action movies, very similar. The character development is very surface level. So I can understand. Now, all those characters were one-offs for the most part, and he's going into this knowing this character that could be multiple views, so maybe he might take this in a different direction. So that's the hope that I have, that this is the biggest project of The Rock's career. It is, in my opinion, it is.
Because it's the biggest movie WB has ever made, and it has 110% viewer rating, right?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, I'm trying to go back to reality here. That's including the Rock's motivational speech. That's not reality either. I'm not rising and grinding at 4:30 a.m. and slugging weights and that. But if you're enthusiastic about DC, I'm not going to criticize you too much. I'm going to make fun of you saying 98% for the trailer satisfaction. That was funny to me. But I'm in for this. I'm excited. You knew I was going to be excited because of the JSA stuff anyway. Anytime I see Dr. Fate, I kind of have a mini stroke. I'm like, yeah, Dr. Fate. So there's going to be stuff I'm going to love about this regardless. This trailer, the action wise, it's positive for me. So I'm happy. I think this is the best trailer we've gotten so far. And the views have made me a little less worried after seeing the SDCC views. I was super worried about this in terms of box office. A little less worried now, just to keep getting the buzz up. I really wonder if they'll release another trailer that's more villain centric before this movie comes out.
I think this may be the final trailer. You usually,
You could be right with the
pre
scissor SDCC. You could be right. That could be number 3 for them.
yeah, with prior to, I feel like, the pandemic, it was teaser, 2 trailers, and then a story trailer.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was kind of like a story trailer. It showed a little bit more. It showed characters' motivations as far as like why the JSA is out and fighting Black Adam. and then you show the main villains. So I do think this is the last trailer.
Yeah, you could be right. Normally, like I said, they release the trailer from the villain side of things, unless you're trying to keep the villain secret, which they have been doing here. So I I, I hope that it is Clay. I don't want any more trailers. I'm in for this, but I will never not take content to review here on the show as well. So if we get any more, we'll get to that, listeners. But I think it was a. Can we at least agree better than the first trailer? Better than the first official trailer that we saw?
Every scene other than Black Adam, yes, better
Okay,
trailer.
okay. I'll take that. Okay, I'll take that. If I'll take that as a win. Okay, listeners, we're on to the next main topic. The Stargirl season 3, chapter 2, the suspects. Clay, what do you think about this episode before we get into this a little bit more? I think I know what you thought of this episode.
I want to say about 20 minutes in, I turned on my PS5 and I had this playing in the background. Um, that was like I there is one line, and I'm okay with spoiling it here. Uh, I think it is Starman that says, "Yeah, it's time to level up," like in a video game. That was when I messaged everybody in the GUA chat, and that's when I turned on my PlayStation. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not having this." So I listened to a majority of the show after that. Watching it though was not my top priority. So,
Uh, okay. Not exactly the greatest stance when we have to review the episodes on a
oh, like I
podcast for
I I
DC.
listened to it. I know what happened, but it was not entertaining to me, like at all. So that's just me.
Well, I may have to do some review. We may end up getting to a point where I do these reviews separate. We just add them to the episode, like a lot of the shows, apparently. Uh, yeah. So I enjoyed this episode. Most of this episode. There's only one thing that really didn't work for me in this episode. I didn't mind the level up comment. These are kids in a high school. These aren't 28 to 34-year-old adults like in the Flash movie, the Flash
Well,
show.
no, it's just I genuinely feel like whoever wrote this episode was like, "Hey, there was a lot of level up jokes that we missed out on because of every other show doing it. I think we need to do it too, but only for the fact that everybody else hates it, so we need to put it in here."
There was only
Like,
one level up moment at all where he said
well,
you're
no,
going to
no,
train you.
no, in Stargirl, yes, but in previous years with the Flash and every other show,
Yeah,
there
but you
was
can't hold this
multiple.
show to
It's all
that
on the
when it's
CW. It's all on the CW.
they're in a different earth. These, like I said, these are kids in a high school. They are very not
It's all the same network, and they're supposed to be in a connective
okay.
multiverse.
I can't support that critique for that reason. I can support it for just it saying a cringy. That's fine. That can be the one. But because it was used on another show where they're all grown adults and these are kids and talking about video games and
It
leveling
was the
up actually
adult that
work.
made the joke, not the kids.
Yeah, who's been away for anyway. I don't think that's that big of a deal. But like I said, to each your own with the critiques there. I only have a couple things to talk about with this episode. Uh, I thought it was cool to see Sylvester Pendleton kind of go off the deep end a little bit. Something's not right about him. I'll get to that in a second. My thoughts on that, but I I, I love to discuss with the shade, getting super frustrated, and there's some green, uh, I don't know, green weird green thing, green liquid, green something trying to seep out of the shade. I don't know what it is, but I've noticed it a couple times now on his first two appearances. Once with his eye, and this time here, you see it. You see him get super exacerbated when we see him encounter Starman for a second time,
Yeah,
and that's something that has me super curious. Because was it because of the events that happened in the last episode, last season with Eclipso? Is that why he's feeling the way he is, and maybe he's not quite himself? So there is a possibility of him being a suspect. After the first encounter, uh, Starman's pretty hostile with Pat. You're the sidekick, and I'm the like, hero. And Pat's like, that's not how it works this way. I'm like, look at Pat stand up for himself. Attaboy. So I did enjoy that as well, that you don't fall into the same tropes. So I was worried that he would go right back to being like uh, basically Starman's little. servant.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that that wasn't the case. Uh, I did enjoy the technique Sylvester taught Courtney while training. I don't know what you're gonna call it. I don't know what they called it.
It was called the shooting star.
Shooting star. Okay, but I that looks super cool to me. I think that's gonna be brought back for the end of the season. So be sure to remember that. Uh, this is what I wanted to really talk about, which didn't work for me at all. Was super cringe for me the entire time. So I'm not against criticizing the show. The Barbara stuff with Artemis's mom doesn't work for me at all. It's cringe. I hate it. I think it's so
Well,
stupid.
for
The
me, I
decision to
think
pair them up just stupid.
not only that, but even with the father, Artemis's father, I didn't like what they showed in the very beginning of the episode, which
Really?
was, yeah, it was him in the car, and he was like about to go beat the crap out of the gambler, and then like let go of the bat and drove off. That doesn't really move the needle for me with his character. I think what would have moved the needle more is actually confronting the gambler and then saying, "No, I decided that I was going to be a good guy now. I can't do this." Actually verbalizing it and confronting that problem is something that I need to see. And him just
I
going,
think you'll
"Oh,
get it.
no, and then like driving off and being all frustrated with himself, that doesn't do anything for me.
No, I think
Uh,
you'll get the explanation of him when someone's going to see and know that he was there.
well,
I
no,
think this is just a little bit of a is
I
he a
don't think
possible
we are.
suspect?
I don't
Uh,
think we are because at the very end of the episode, it was him and his wife, and they were like, "Oh, nobody can know what we did." And then she's like, "I know," and she punches the punching bag or whatever. Like, I
but
paid attention to the episode, guys.
I
Come on.
know. I'm just saying that that could mean something else completely different that doesn't have anything to do with that at all. So that could be just a red herring they're throwing in there to throw suspicion onto these people now to give you more suspects. Because if you watch the trailer for the next episode, there's a showdown in the grocery store with those two people and somebody else. So
Yeah.
I think that these are they're trying to be shown as potential suspects when they're not. In my opinion, I think I already have the. I hope I'm not right, but I think I may
You
already
said that
have
you
the.
feel like you solved the mystery already.
Yeah,
So,
I'll give you that in
all
a
right,
little
Scooby
second.
Doo,
I just
tell me
want
what the
I just want to talk about one other thing, which is the second encounter with Shade, where Courtney goes with him. I really did enjoy that because he goes off the deep end quite quickly. He's mad at Shade for destroying the JSA because he's the one that told him what he had to do to stop Calypso, and they did it, and it
yeah.
fractured the group. And we have a moment after where he realizes his errors of his ways and says it was his fault. But before that, he goes to attack Shade. And like I said, you see a bit of green seep out, but the staff goes back to Courtney when she screams that "What are you doing?" Like stop. The staff goes back to
Mhm.
Courtney. So this goes back to my whole theory now. So I'm gonna throw out my theory of what I think is going on, and I kind of hope that I'm not right in a sense because it'll be pretty sad that I figured this out on the second episode. But I think Clay that because we had a mention of his name in this episode as well, the Dragon King. I think that's who brought Sylvester back. I think he was brought back by the Dragon King before he was killed as a little side project, little pet project, because we got him in the second season, midway through the second season, starting to look for Courtney. I think it might have ended the first season. Was he showed
It
up? I
was
think
yeah, it was at the very end of the
of the
first
first
season.
season. So before this, I think Dragon King experiments because we did get a comment from one of the two members of the JSA, either Wildcat or Our Man, saying like she was Dragon King's daughter. You don't know like what kind of experiment she was. She doesn't even know what he did to her.
Yeah.
So I think that he's the one that brought Sylvester Pendleton back. Like he took him from the fight after it was over, where he was laid there. He took him from there, brought him back, changed him some way to make him evil. The staff is starting to recognize that a little bit, and that's why it went to Courtney when she called out. I think that eventually it's going to be realized that there's something wrong with him. I don't think he's going to be able to go back. I think he's going to be the one that killed the gambler. We've seen his take on how he feels about people being able to reform. He has no part of it in the first episode, and he makes a couple offhanded comments in this episode about allowing people to have a second chance. I really think that he's not the Starman that was left behind. And ultimately, I think that the one that's going to figure all this out is Sydney, and I don't know if many people are going to believe her starting off.
Now, I have an issue with the story with Sydney. And the reason why I have that problem is because we've been through it before. We've gone through this with last season. And more so it's just like the fact that, oh, we can't trust her, blah blah blah. We're going to go around in circles with this team. And another problem that I have in regards to Sydney and the rest of the JSA is the same issue that we've gotten for the first two seasons, and now it looks like we're going through it with the third season. Courtney is the leader of the JSA in my eyes, and she does not have a voice of a leader.
Well, she
She
doesn't.
is
Democracy. They vote.
well, they do, but Courtney gets walked on every single scene that when the entire group is having a meeting, everybody walks on Courtney.
Not Beth.
No, not always.
Mm.
There was sometimes in season 2 where she kind of got aggressive and stuff, or was that
I've never
season
seen
1?
her. I don't think she's ever been with Courtney. I think it was maybe with the other people and her parents, but never. I've never seen her get like walk over Courtney. But
Well,
I will agree with the aggressive
I don't
personalities
think
of the
Beth
other two.
has a lot of screen time for other reasons, but
No, but I
uh
think that the two other ones are the more dominant personalities. So I will agree. Sometimes they do walk over her, but they also have the objections because, like I said, uh, Wildcat has a reason never to trust Sydney ever again. And I think that Sydney having the gambler's laptop at the very end, she wants to figure out and solve this solve this mystery to earn her spot with the JSA. I think that's
oh
her
yeah.
line of thinking with this.
And then this whole like gambler's daughter thing, I honestly couldn't care less.
She could be a villain. She could be. I'm interested to see who it is, but yeah, that's. I enjoyed this episode, but I can't sit through much more of Barbara and Artemis's mother baking and talking and trying to bond. Whoever decided that those were the clips that we got, uh, just terrible. I did enjoy the Grundy stuff as well, but Grundy not coming back so far, and you can see how down the dumps our man is about it. Rick is not happy, so but he's always not happy. Uh,
True.
and also, he doesn't have the formula down path yet. He's getting like different times all the time: hour, 46 minutes, 18 minutes, 6 minutes. It's all over the place. So, interested to see how he's going to figure out that formula. And like I said, I think Sylvester Pendleton is the main big bad and causing us all the trouble. So, Clay, we'll we jump back to this again next week, but let's get into the roundup of news before we talk about our Smallville episode and in the night. You may not even hear this first part. You may want to plug your ears and just pretend like I'm not speaking. This is a show you acknowledge don't exist. So some of the words you may not even hear them when I'm speaking, but we'll get through this news story super quick to get back on the things that you acknowledge exist.
I
so
already can't hear you, so I don't know
the,
which.
the listeners know what I'm talking about here. Titan season 4 is coming out in November. That was announced today, and it's going to feature Titus Welver as Lex Luthor. And there's a link to the picture. I'm going to share it on my screen here super quickly with the people that are in the chat. And if you've watched Sons of Anarchy, he's been on that. He's been on Bosch as well. Okay, sorry, right here. And he's rocking a big Lex Luthor beard, aka from John Cryer. This guy's a great actor, so I'm really interested to see his take. I'm not confident after seeing what happened with Scarecrow and that pile of turds. So yeah, I'll be interested. I'll be checking that out. We we'll see if this gets reviewed or not, but by me.
And I will say, I'm not going to be a complete jerk and completely put you on mute on my side. I heard a little bit of what you're saying. Don't expect me to review any part of this show. I already block anytime I see anybody post anything about Titans, I immediately block them because I want to feel happiness on Twitter, and that just brings me to depression. Uh, it's I'm sorry. There's nothing You could tell me that they're completely rebooting the series connected to the DCEU and Henry can be in every single episode as Superman, and it still wouldn't save that show.
That's okay. You got that's stuff that's just bullshit. Absolute
No,
bullshit. You'd watch every goddamn episode. I don't even want to hear that. That's just taking to the
no.
extreme. No, I know you would. You can say no, no. You 100% would if Henry Cavill was reprising the role of Superman for every episode. I know you would watch. You can say no. You can say you don't like that. Don't acknowledge it exists.
You
You would. I know you would. You can say this now, but
you
I
can
know.
say it, but
I
I
know you
wouldn't.
would.
I'm sorry.
Clay, I know you would watch it. I just know it. I know you can say you're not just because hating on the show is fun. But I can not 100% fact if Henry Cavill Superman was in each episode, you would at least watch the first episode of season 4. I know you would. If he was in the
Probably not.
episode, you can say probably not. Let's move on to stuff that Clay acknowledges exists. Must be nice to pick and choose what exists in DCU. But Blue Beetle, something Clay loves. We have the update on that. Susan Sarandon, who plays the villain in this movie, said on Jimmy Fallon that Blue Beetle is going to be in all Spanish. I think that she
I
might have got
think
ahead of herself a little bit by that.
yes. The way that I really saw it whenever I saw the video, I discussed this outside of the GUA chat as well as inside the GUA chat. S Bubs was the one that showed it to me on Twitter. And I do think what she meant to say was that all of the family dynamic with Jaime Reyes and his family is going to be in Spanish. I 100% believe that. I do not believe a lick that the entire movie will be in Spanish and they're going to release it that way.
I think
I
that
would
might
love
be
it, uh, but it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
I totally watched the hell out of that too. Like I wouldn't feel any other way by having to read subtitles. I thought that I would love to hope it's that way with the family at the very least. I hope all their interactions are subtitled and they're in their native tongue. That would be awesome to me. Especially it would add to the family dynamic a little bit because it's something that we would never have seen before.
Yeah, I think that it would be very, very cool. But I do know that in I can't remember which run, I think it was New 52, S-Bubs or Charlie. If you were listening to this, please tell me if I'm wrong. But I believe it was before Rebirth. They did a all Spanish issue. Um,
Ooh.
and even when Jaime was saying hi to one of his like white friends, like it was like in English, and like she hugged him really quick, and so it cut him off, and she started speaking in Spanish.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
so I thought that was really cool. The few panels that I've seen, uh, I still need to track that issue down. Uh, but yeah, I know that they've done it before in comics, but as far as a movie would go, I just don't think the United States is there yet
No, I
as
agree with
far as
that, Clay.
wanting to put in a whole nother language as the main language in the script.
It should be, but to optimize revenue, it's not going to be, which is sad. Uh, but I still think this is going to be a fantastic film, and I'm looking on the bright side of like Jimmy Fallon, arguably the big like draws the most numbers of the talk shows, the late night talk shows, is asking about Blue Beetle on his show in September, a year before the film is supposed to come out. That is nothing but a good thing for me. That makes me happy.
I'm really confused as of why Susan Sarandon was on
To promote
Jimmy.
something, to promote some sort
Like
of film
I
or
don't know
TV
what
show.
she's been in recently for her to promote though. So I'm glad that she was there to be able to promote her filming of Blue Beetle. But I just don't know what she was
I will
doing
listen to the
recently.
full clip after we finish the episode, the full interview to see if I can find out what she was promoting because you have that put in my head now and it will never I'll have to make that go away later. But that's still, like I said, exciting news. Glad that they're talking. And if it was the case, it'd be super cool if they did have the whole thing in Spanish. But like Clay said, I think it's more so about the family interactions that she
Yeah.
meant, and that's going to be awesome. Clay, we have some casting news. Superman Lois has found its replacement actor for Jonathan Kent. Warner Brothers via Variety revealed that Michael Bishop has joined the cast of Superman and Lois as its new Jonathan Kent. And you made the comment in the GUA chat that made me laugh. Of at least they look like twins now, and
Aren't they supposed to
slash
be twins?
brothers.
And
I think so. I think so.
I'm pretty sure in the first season they made the comment that they're twins.
Yes, I
Uh,
think you said the twins.
I'll need to go back and like try to see if they are supposed to be twins or if they are like a year older or a year younger. But either way, they actually look related now. I looked at this guy's picture. This what's his name? Uh,
Michael
uh,
Bishop.
Michael Bishop. Yeah, he definitely looks like Jonathan now, or like Jordan now. So it's gonna be believable in my eyes, and I'm really interested. If do you know what's gonna be real shitty though? Is season 3 is the season that they decide to give Jonathan powers, and the old cast member just doesn't have like the opportunity to be able to be like the Superboy that everybody wanted him to be. Like that would have that's gonna suck.
They say I agree with that. They said that this guy's an Australian actor that made his debut in Hollywood last year in the Disney Channel original movie Spin, playing the character DJ Maxx. I don't know. Wouldn't be
Okay.
wouldn't be able to tell you anything about that movie if my life depended on it. So, but like I said, I'm glad they had this out of the way. It sucks because this is potentially a final season, and you can't halt production, even though it would have been nice to allow the old actor to just try and work on himself before you got back and running. But it's the nature with these CW shows. They're like a machine, Clay, and you got to keep going with it. This will be one of the more drastic. This will be the most drastic for Superman and Lois casting news and thing they have to get through. But I feel like the show. I'm hoping the show bounces back. It was a little hit and miss for me last season, so I really hope this show doesn't drop off in quality. Uh,
Well, if it follows the rest of the DCCW shows, I feel
Minus
like
Arrow. Don't you put that on Arrow. Season 8 was great, and season 5 was great.
what about season 4?
Yeah, it's garbage, but at least it doesn't go like the
Oh,
Flash,
okay,
which is
season
the
3.
yodeler, and then done
Yeah,
after 2
but
seasons.
exactly when did Flash start to go downward?
Season 3.
Season 3.
Season 1, season 2, season 3, okay, comparative to 4, 5, 6, and 7 and 8. But it goes one for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And then you look at Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow, season 1, great. Season 2, eh. Season 3, lower. Like
I will no, we can't say that. Season 1 was for one type of fan, and then they positioned the show from season 2 and 3 to a new type of fan, and there is a big love
it
for that show. It's not me and you, but it
oh,
is a
but
big
it
love for that
doesn't
show.
matter. It doesn't matter though. We're basing it off of our opinions.
Oh, I know, but
And so if
I'm
that's
giving
the
the greater
case,
context. I'm giving the greater context of like the show. That show still hit an audience. Like that show still had people saying positive things, whereas the Flash did not. It was by season 8. It was a crap. Everyone dumping on it. There wasn't a. You know what I mean? There at least there was a section of the
true.
fans that enjoyed Legends.
I unfortunately believe with how things are going at WB and how, this has technically moved to like, yes, it's the CW still, but completely different ownership now. I think that the quality will drop. I think that possibly even
You're not wrong, but
with
the amount of money that they want to spend and the debt they
with
have is.
with the rumors that we're also hearing with Doom Patrol and Titans being at their last season. Uh, Also, one thing that we didn't mention: the rumors of Stargirl apparently having a crossover between the two of those. Uh,
Don't you mean the one of those?
I thought I heard both is gonna be joining into it. Uh, but even still, I'm
There's
calling it
no point
one.
anymore.
I'm calling it one giant crapshoot. Is what I'm calling it.
Well,
Uh,
the one I was making a joke about the other show not existing to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm calling it all one crapshoot though.
Okay.
But I do think that like unfortunately the quality is not necessarily due to the performance, rather the people working on it thinking, this is gonna be our last season anyway.
I don't know about that. Usually people put their like hardest effort into it, but like I said, this is all up in the air with what their next star's plans are for these shows, if they're going to continue them or not. Crossing over CW show with HBO Max shows is an interesting possibility, but that has been teased. We'll wait till we get any more confirmation. But
Confirmation.
the breadcrumbs are out there for Stargirl potentially showing up on Titans, and Doom Patrol characters showing up there as well. So who knows? That's a possibility. Their final little bit of news is Joker 2 adds fifth actor to main cast. Deadline revealed that Warner Brothers cast Catherine Keener in an undisclosed role in Todd Phillips' Joker 2. So that was just I don't know who she is as
I
an
don't
actress.
know who she is either. But there was one more piece of news that actually dropped in the beginning of our podcast just now
Ooh.
today. It's nothing to get excited about.
Oh.
DC and WB are going to be at New York Comic Con this upcoming month. There's going to be a Star Labs booth, and they're going to have things like Titans. They're going to have Doom Patrol. I don't remember what else they're going to have out there, but it's nothing really to get too excited about. It's just hyping up the shows that are, like we said, possibly going to have their last season.
Well, we could see something from Superman and Lois, possibly our first little look at our
Yes, they
dude
also said
Jonathan
that
Kent.
there is going to be first looks at the Supernatural spin-off show, the Winchesters, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So still cool. Glad they're going, and I'll take any like a new content review here. Clay, we have our final thing to discuss, which is Smallville episode 9, Rogue. What did you think of this episode, Clay? Because personally, super enjoyable. Super enjoyable.
This episode I really enjoyed. Of course, this is with the dirty cop that witnesses and not
Phelan.
Phelan, not necessarily witnesses, but gets in the investigation of this crash that
He does
Clark.
witness it. He walks out and witnesses Clark. He
I
sees
don't.
Clark
Well,
come
I
out of the
don't.
museum.
Yeah, I don't think he actually sees him actually stop the bus, though. That's what I'm getting at. And he actually starts to look around, does more investigation, finds out that Clark does have these abilities, and then blackmails him. He says, "Hey,
Yeah.
I can make your life a complete hell if you don't help me in internal affairs." So you know that this guy is bad because he's trying to thwart the internal affairs at Metropolis.
And
So that
clearly,
way
they're
he isn't
building a
fired.
file about him because he's not on the up and up as a cop. And I really loved this episode too, Clay. Like you said, there's a couple of really great scenes for me. Jonathan Kent going to meeting this guy is a
Yeah.
great scene. You can see where he gets mad, and honestly, it brings back to me some credence to Man of Steel, where
Mhm.
that Jonathan's worried about what's going to happen, and this guy even says, like, worst case, he'll be under like supervision all the time. No, best case, he's under supervision all the time. Worst case, he's under a microscope and knife
Yeah.
in a lab. And that's always a fear with this. And you see what they did in Man of Steel or in BVS with Zod. The government just took him. So yeah, very real possibility here. And I just love this, how he finds him. I love the back and forth with him and Clark. And Lex, I gotta say one thing about the Talkville podcast. There's nobody harder critique on his own acting than Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 episodes, I thought he was fantastic in his interactions with people, especially here with Victoria, the back and forth, the cat and mouse game. I really enjoyed it. I thought he was great in channeling a very good Lex Luthor here.
I think so too. I think that his
Someone give him a hug or something and say, "Dude,
even
you were potentially the best Lex Luthor ever." Like,
even his conversations with Clark, the hey, be careful with this guy. Again, the one thing that I absolutely love about this show is that Lex and Clark genuinely had a friendship.
but
And
there is this tiny, which you'll see is going to drive the wedge between them eventually. There's this little tiny bit of Lex that can't just let go and be
oh,
just Clark's
and
friend.
that's the thing that I absolutely love about his character is that he absolutely cares about Clark, but it's for the ulterior motive.
I don't even
That
know if it's for the ulterior motive. I think potentially, like we see it a couple times here throughout this show, where he says to Clark, when secrets get revealed and then they get unrevealed, or someone loses their like memory and stuff. I think when he goes to the mental institution, I think he tells Clark like I would have helped you out. I would have like I don't know why you couldn't have told me. Like I would have like I don't know why you had to lie to me. I would have been your
Yeah.
friend. I wouldn't have done anything. And I think that's part of this too. That's part of the ultimate. They would be friends, and I think if he told him at this point in the time, Lex would be great to him, and maybe that would have put Lex on a different path.
And
But he didn't.
there's a lot of fun stuff that people have done in comics with that as well. I believe
Yes,
it was in Action Comics 1000. Scott
injustice.
Snyder and Injustice. Scott Snyder actually does a story in Action Comics 1000 where Clark and or sorry, Superman and Lex Luthor are having a conversation, and Lex makes an offhand comment knowing that it is Clark, and they go off about this conversation of like how things could have been different if they were actually still friends, going
Yeah,
off of the golden age of comics when they were friends. So I just love that whole dynamic between the two. Like even when Lex, like at the very end, when it
he goes to
was
flailing.
he when after he is shot, he runs up to him and says, "What do you got on him? What do you have on Clark?" Because again, yes, it's for the friendship, but he
But
wants to
he
know
needs to know. He
he
needs to
needs to know
know.
the secrets of Clark, and Phelan just like, "Go to hell, dude."
Go to hell, Luther. That was great. I love that. Uh, I gotta say, the him throwing the safe out on Phelan's car, that was
So
fantastic.
good,
So
so good.
good,
And
so
then when
good.
he even goes, he does a super speed. He's like, "Yeah, man, here you
Here's your
go.
file.
Here's your file. Oh, by the way, this is the actual file. And I also called the police. See ya." And he like dips.
Yeah.
Um, I love this entire episode, and there is not
There's
really
no
a
freak of
whole
the
lot.
week. There's no big bad. There's no like big fight Clark has to have. It's
Well,
all basically.
there is the confrontation with Chloe and Lana, though.
Oh my god, that horse shit. That was the worst part of this episode.
It it is the weakest, but I think it's still important because and here's
I know why. Here's a message, kids. Let someone finish speaking their point before you storm off emotionally and have to run back hat in hand, having to apologize, looking like an idiot 20 minutes later. They've done a disservice to Chloe in the past couple episodes.
yes, and but I also want to say people are passionate with what they are passionate about. And I think that's one thing with Chloe's side of the story. But I think also you need to understand that yes, it is the at this point it's still WB, not CW.
Yeah.
They want to do the teen drama, they want to
Oh
do the
yeah.
love triangles and everything else. But also I think it was a good message of hey, we can't pin women against women.
Yes.
Um, so they make amends at the very end of the episode, and boom, Chloe is back where she was always supposed to be at in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
So I think that is good for the message that they ended with, not necessarily with the one that brought about the whole thing with Chloe being like the whole thing just completely throwing Clark under the bus.
And
Like,
to sit it and just let it went from 0 to 60 in a snap of a finger. It didn't need to. Like I said, I know it was drama and Clay's right. Like they did a whole. They ruined the first iteration of Laurel Lance for a love triangle.
yeah,
So very easy to see how they go down this route at times. Uh, it was frustrating to me just because only last episode or a couple episodes ago, the Frost episode, I think it was episode 5, Chloe goes with this guy who keeps putting her down, have nothing to do with her, and goes after other girls and freezes them and takes their body heat. So I just feel like they've done disservice to her a couple episodes now because she shouldn't react like this. This is more because she's mad that Clark likes Lana than it is anything else. That's what
yeah.
it is. The whole thing behind it, which, like I said, I think is a little sad for Chloe's character, but that's just the way, like Clay mentioned, these shows were written back then. They needed that little segment of the combativeness. And Phelan goes out. Obviously, Clay, when he figured out his identity, did you know immediately? Yeah, you did. Like you're gonna die. Like I can remember thinking that when I watched this because Superman the animated series had this put in my head because I'll always remember the episode where
Oh,
The
the
guy
cop.
figures, the cop figures
Yeah.
out at the very end, it
When
dawns
he
on him
get
that
the lethal injection or whatever. Yeah, I love that episode. Oh, the gas. It
the
was electric
chair.
chair. That's right.
He's
That's right.
strapped into the chair, and he finally realizes, just before they flip the switch, that Clark is Superman. And then
Yeah.
bam, it was like,
Yeah.
damn, they did that. So, yeah, really enjoyable episode. Like Clay said, I love the whole not any freak of the week, not meteorite stuff, just this guy blackmailing Clark. Like, you can see how Superman can work without having to do freak of the week, which
Well, and also
ripped you away.
it does speak a whole lot to the idea of like, hey, this isn't all rainbows and sunshine. Kind of the way the Kents always raised Clark to be, but then when shit gets real, they also have to be real with him and be like, "Hey, there's gonna be people who want to exploit you for who you are, so you need to be careful with that."
Yeah.
And that drives even more home with this character.
Maybe next time he will just super speed and grab the homeless guy and the dog and get them out of the way, and then do it some way that you just don't stand up in front of the bus in the middle of the street and basically DC's version of New York City, and just stand up in front of the bus and let it go through you. Like, maybe a different, now, super cool visual that they will go back to. I'm pretty sure in the second season's intro, they show him get running through that bus shot all
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So a cool visual, but maybe super speed in there and grab those guys. Maybe that's a lesson that you learn. He's Now, this is a thing some Man of Steel uh, critics can't understand. He's still really early on learning to be Superman here. So yeah, he's going to make some mistakes.
Yeah, and like I feel like there was a lot of times where he could have used his other powers that he had already kind of honed in on. But I believe it was
Like when Phelan sneaks up on him in the barn, you're like, dude, you got super hearing. How are
but
you getting
that's
snuck
the
up
thing
on?
though. He has super hearing, but he hasn't learned about super hearing yet. He doesn't
Really?
learn about Yes, he doesn't learn about super hearing for a long time. And that's what I caught.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a
I thought he already
line.
knew about that. Yeah,
No, he
sorry.
doesn't know about it because there's a line from Martha that says like something of like, "Oh, well, how'd you do that, or how'd you hear that, or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just really good at hearing." They tease that he has really good hearing, but they have not had the specific episode about him learning about super hearing.
Okay.
That is not for a while. I don't know what episode it is, but it's not season one.
Season one, uh, episode, he uses it in Jitters and Drone.
But he doesn't learn about his super hearing.
Apparently, it's just implied that he already has it. But it
No,
says it here.
there is a
I got the list of appearances for his super hearing.
Okay, put it in the private chat here with us so that way I can see it here. Because there is a specific episode for every single power that he has. And I know there's one for hearing.
Well, not really, because he already has super speed when we catch up with him. He already has super strength when he catches up with him. So there are a couple things that he already has.
Okay, let's see here.
And I trust the Smallville fandom, because this show hasn't been operational for about 15 to 20 years. So they have 20 years. So they have had all the time in the world to update this.
See,
The
yeah,
ability
so
first manifested Whisper.
season 3 Whisper. This is the specific episode about super hearing.
Yeah, it says here it's been implied through those other two episodes, Jitters and Drone, that he does have super hearing, but it wasn't shown until he went blind, and it goes to a more extreme level because his senses get stronger when he loses his sight.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Can't wait to get to that episode. Uh, but Clay, this was super enjoyable episode. Like I said, no really big bad, but still super fun. Yeah, I enjoyed this one more than I did Stargirl.
Very much so.
There's no. We don't even need to ask you that question. But me, I had to think about it for a second. But the whole blackmail thing with this is what works for me. If there was, like I said, they both had the cringe. The Lana Chloe was cringe for me, where the uh, Barbara and Artemis stuff that was cringe as well. I couldn't even look at
See,
that.
I don't see it, and I think it more
You
so.
can see where I see it that way though, where I can see it being
Yes, yeah,
cringy.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the way I see it though is okay. This was 2001, whereas this is 2022. We should be moving
Further
way
along,
from
yeah,
that,
yeah. It
and they
should.
still want to stay in it, which is the problem.
That was
Uh,
they're not even going against each other. They're trying to be friends, and it's terrible. I wish they were going against each other. I remember the season 2 was he was chasing them. So yeah, uh, but like I said, this Marvel episode, this was a fun. I'm really enjoying these episodes, Clay. This was a great idea to go through this show. I may even lie down now when I get ready for bed and watch the next episode already, just to
yeah,
get
I
going on
think
it because I really enjoyed this one.
I might as well. I have yet to listen to the Talkville on Rogue, so I might just do that
Ooh.
tonight as well. But uh, of course, that is
I
yeah,
have listened, and I'm not. I gave one thing they talked about. They talked about the bus crash too, and there was very little to that. There wasn't much to this episode.
really.
Yeah, not as
Now
enjoyable. The last episode before was far more enjoyable for me.
I've seen it sucks because I usually try to sit down and watch the YouTube video of it. But as I'm scrolling through TikTok, I want to support them, so I follow their Talkville account on TikTok, and I constantly start to get these little moments from the episode that they're reviewing. I'm like, no, I want to sit down and watch that. I don't need to see it on TikTok. So uh, I see a lot of those moments on TikTok still, of their interview or their talk about the episode.
Yeah.
But I think that is it. That is it for the episode. Thank you all who are still here watching on the YouTube channel. Remember, if you want to join us here on the YouTube channel, you can always just subscribe to the Geekverse YouTube channel. Make sure that your notifications are set on all so you know exactly when we go live every single week. Also, a reminder in the show notes, in the podcatcher, as well as on our Twitter, there is going to be a survey for the GUA. We want to give you guys the best experience, the best listening experience throughout the entire GUA. So make sure to just spend a good 5 minutes critiquing, giving some input on all of our shows and some insight. So that way we can take that all into consideration. But of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. Go into the link tree in my bio. You can find the links to all of the shows that I host, that including this show, DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, Star Wars Alliance.
And you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about pretty much anything. Uh, Phil says, "Damn, I missed everything."
We did go a little early, so I apologize, Phil.
That's my fault, Phil. I'm an hour and a half ahead of Eastern Standard Time, and I have to get up super early in the morning. So we went a half hour or normal, like a little earlier. But you can watch the whole thing on the Geekverse YouTube channel. After we're done, it is uploaded there immediately. So, yeah, uh, Clay, this was super fun. Superhero discussions last week for it being twice a week. We have the season finale of Harley Quinn this weekend, so check that out. It's going to be a fun time. Uh, Phil, you're the best. Uh, Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, that is it, and we will see you guys next week.
Later, everyone.